David Gahan, the energetic main singer of Depeche Mode, has a life story that is both brilliant and his life is full of problems, but the brilliance part is obvious in his killer songs. You'll have to wait a little while to find out where the trouble is coming from. This video will talk about some frightening things that Gahan has told the public, such how he abused drugs heavily and was diagnosed with ailments that might kill him. Dave has said practically everything a fan wouldn't want to hear from their favorite hero, but before we get into that, let's speak about his youth a few years ago. Dave's mother Sylvia took care of him and his sister when their father left the family. Like a lot of youngsters with broken families, he probably had a really terrible childhood. Things grew significantly worse for him after his parents broke up. He lost his stepfather, who had affectionately taken him and his sister in and become the father figure they needed. This heartbreaking loss left young Dave having to deal with a void that seemed impossible to fill, adding to the turmoil his biological father briefly reappeared in his life, but this reunion was short, and as he left, Dave once again had to face the harsh realities of his turbulent childhood. Being quite a rebellious young boy, Gahan often found himself in and out of juvenile court, committing offenses ranging from joyriding to theft. He has openly admitted to this in interviews, saying that he was pretty wild and loved the excitement of nicking a motor, screeching off, and being chased by the police. His troubles with the law almost landed him in a detention center, but that was until music entered his life and eventually became his salvation. In 1980, Gahan joined a band called Composition of Sound that was home to some wonderful performers, including Martin Gore, Andy Fletcher, and Vince Clarke. This band grew over time, and now the world knows it as Depeche Mode. A name Dave Gahan got from a fashion magazine. Depeche Mode became really famous and made music that lots of people liked. They made 15 albums and sold over 100 million records all over the world. Despite their success, Gahan's journey with Depeche Mode has not been without controversy. He was known for his powerful stage presence and deep singing voice, but he faced difficulties working with the band creatively. By 2003, his frustration with the band's lack of trying new things led him to ask for a bigger role in writing songs. This change meant that 3 of his songs appeared on the 2005 album Playing the Angel, including the Grammy-nominated Suffer Well. Gahan also did well as a solo artist, making albums like Paper Monsters and Hourglass. However, his life away from the spotlight was also troubled as he fought against addiction and personal struggles. Despite this, his strength and love for music kept him going. Much like his childhood, Dave's adulthood was not free from struggles either. Health concerns in particular, it impacted his life a lot, but it wasn't too wild until he informed his admirers and co-workers, what they were all frightened of, that he had cancer and could die from it. This could break the spirit of almost anyone. Gahan's harrowing fight started right before his show in Athens, Greece, when he was severely unwell in the dressing room. Doctors promptly identified a tumor in Dave's bladder and took him to the hospital. He was told that surgery might be the only option for him to get better because the tumor hadn't yet broken through the wall of his bladder. Dave said that at first, the doctors thought it was just a stomach virus, but then he had some ultrasounds done, and they showed that he had a tumor in his bladder, which was shocking. Dave tried to get out of it by saying he was on an 8-month tour and couldn't stop, but the oncologist got serious and told him how bad the situation was. Dave agreed to have the operation, and the tumor was taken out. He said that even though he eventually got the all-clear signal, he really thought he was going to die. Dave had a hard time after his operation and had several very sad talks with his wife. Dave told Jennifer that he felt he would be all right at one point, but she told him that she wasn't. She didn't want him to talk like he was ready to give up, because she knew he was suggesting that if things didn't go well, he had lived a good life and their kids would be well without him. Of course, these times are just as hard for loved ones. After getting well, it's never easy to say goodbye. Dave didn't like the regular cystoscopies, which involved putting a camera in his urethra, as you may guess, but he finally grew used to them and saw them as a privilege to be alive and with family and friends. Talk about being thankful. Even before he found out he had cancer, Dave had a lot of problems with his physical and mental health. He was a recovering heroin addict and had a lot of near-death experiences. His life was marked by addiction and major health problems. Local paramedics gave him the nickname The Cat because he survived 4 brushes with death in October 1993 during a performance in New Orleans. Gahan suffered a minor drug-induced heart attack, forcing the rest of Depeche Mode to improvise an encore without him. But that's not all. Gahan also tried to kill himself once by cutting his wrists. He later explained that it was a desperate cry for help and that he had made sure he was in a place where people could find and save him. The pain and loneliness he felt during this time were overwhelming. Gahan also said that he overdosed on a speedball at the Sunset Marquis Hotel in Los Angeles. His heart stopped for 2 minutes until paramedics brought him back to life. He described the experience as an out-of-body experience. He saw and felt complete darkness, the blackest space he had ever been in. When he came to, he remembered seeing himself on the floor surrounded by frantic activity. A police officer was handcuffing him. Even though it wasn't surprising that he was having trouble controlling his drug abuse, many fans were still heartbroken, maybe not ready to hear such things about their favorite star. Finally, a few months later, after facing drug charges, he went to rehab. Gahan made a great choice by going to rehab. He was determined to change his life and become a better person. The emotional and physical toll of these events was huge, but they also marked the start of his journey toward recovery and healing after his stressful battle with cancer and other health issues. Things may have gotten better for him in some ways, but then 2022 came, and with it came a very sad time as Dave lost a special friend and valuable bandmate, Andy Fletcher. After the public announcements of Dave's struggles and hardship, fans were not ready for this news, but nothing could be done to change what had already happened. Sometime after his death, Depeche Mode announced their first album, and according to Dave, he and Martin vowed to honor the memory of their co-founding member of the Enjoy the Silence group by completing the upcoming LP Emto Mori. The duo planned a tour of North America, hitting iconic venues like New York's Madison Square Garden, Chicago's United Center, Los Angeles' Kia Forum, and Toronto 2 Scotiabank Arena in March 2023. They were also set to play London's Twine Stadium on June 17th. For the European leg of the tour, they began working on the project early in the pandemic with themes inspired by that challenging time, but after Fletch's passing, they decided to push forward, believing it's what he would have wanted. Dave said that Fletch would have loved this album, which made it even more special to continue their journey to thank everyone who was mourning Andy's death. The two wrote that they wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the outpouring of love for Andy that they had seen from everyone over the last few weeks. It was amazing to see all of their photos, read their words, and just see how much Andy meant to everyone. They confirmed that Fletch died from an aortic dissection, a tear in the large blood vessel of the heart, and that he passed away naturally and peacefully despite facing controversies and other challenges. What do you think of David Gahan? Did you know that he had to deal with a lot of problems in his life? Let us know in the comments below. Angelus got the nickname the Cat from local paramedics because he survived 4 near-death experiences in October 1993 while performing in New Orleans. Gahan had a minor drug-induced heart attack, which forced the rest of Depeche Mode to improvise an encore without him. But that's not all. Gahan also tried to kill himself once by cutting his wrists. He later said it was a desperate cry for help and that he had made sure he was in a place where people could find and save him from the pain and loneliness. He felt a lot of things throughout this time. Gahan has also said that he took too much of a speedball around sundown. His heart stopped for 2 minutes at the Marquis Hotel in Los Angeles until paramedics arrived. When they brought him back to life, he said it was like being outside of his body. He saw and felt pure darkness, the blackest space he had ever been in. He remembered finding himself on the floor surrounded by a lot of activity when he woke up. He was aware that a police officer was handcuffing him, even though he had problems controlling his drug use. Many fans were still upset, even though they knew it was coming. They probably weren't ready to hear such things about their beloved singer. Finally, a few months later, after facing drug charges, Gahan made a great choice and went to rehab with the strong desire to change his life and become a better person. These events took a huge toll on his mind and body, but they also marked the start of his journey toward recovery and healing after his stressful battle with cancer and other health problems. Things may have gotten better for him in some ways, but then 2022 came along and